Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about brushes, but before we get started, just in case anybody asks, I thought I'd just go over what I'm wearing on my face. I'm finally wearing the Chantecaille again because I've been testing so many other foundations, and I have another video coming up very soon with another foundation that I'm loving. So I haven't worn that in a while and I really love it. I feel that my skin is set, but I think that's because I used a physical sunscreen, which is a little bit drying. On my eyes, I'm wearing this, which is $27 right now on the Nars site. And this is so beautiful. I haven't worn it in a long time. So if you're into that, go on the Nars site. And also, just getting the housekeeping out of the way, I am now on Instagram. I don't want to mention it in every video, make you nuts. But I'm on Instagram. I'm under the_hooded_lid, and I'm just posting some pics. Nothing special. I'm sure I will learn how to do all those fun things other people are doing, but I'm not quite there yet. I mean, I just learned how to use my phone to change my light. And I've had that light for months. So let's talk about brushes. A little backstory is needed. I used to wear makeup all the time. And then the foundation that I loved was no longer being made, and I bought many foundations and none of them worked, and I just started slowly giving up on makeup. And it got to the point where I was pretty much just using a brown liner really thickly and going like this, rubbing it out. And that was fine. Maybe mascara. And that was pretty much it. I had a lot of lipsticks, so I was one of those nothing on the face but maybe a bright lipstick kind of a thing. And then I think what happened was someone invited me out for a little dinner party, and I thought, okay, I'll put on some makeup. And I put on my makeup the same way I always had, and it didn't look the same. I'm like, what? I used to do the black liner, inner and upper, in waterline, and do a liner, and I could do a teeny little wing because I wasn't as deeply hooded as I am now, and everything that I did, instead of making my eyes look nice, made my eyes look small. And I realized I had to relearn how to wear makeup because everything changed. And that eventually kind of brought me here, but that's an even longer story. But that's how I found YouTube. Okay, it was Lisa Eldridge. I found Lisa Eldridge and I fell down a rabbit hole. And then I'm not going to talk too much about it. So I'm like, okay, I need to learn what's going on. I looked at my brushes and I realized a lot of my brushes look like this. This is no longer being made. It's a MAC 32 and it's basically like a lay down brush, but I believe this is squirrel and it gets a little fluffy after a little while. And this brush is Bobbi Brown. Bobbi Brown used to make very nice brushes. I don't think the quality is the same, and also I think this is natural. Natural was much more common back in the day. And then I have most of my old brushes upstairs because they were all kind of the same brush. They were all kind of lay down. And I wondered, why is that? And I think the answer is this. There wasn't all that much information about brushes. There wasn't even Sephora back in those days. So, you would go and you buy some eyeshadow or something and say, well, I'm thinking about getting a brush, and the salesperson would say, this is a nice brush. And okay, I'll buy that. And I didn't realize all my brushes kind of look the same. What's going on here? And even makeup books by Bobbi Brown or Kevin Aquan, I don't think they really spoke about brushes that much. But when I'm watching these videos on YouTube, I'm thinking there's something going on with the brush deal. And Lisa Eldridge was using the 217 almost every time she did an eye look. So I decided I was going to get me a 217. And I did. This is the goat one, the one they don't make anymore. And this is a workhorse brush. I did everything with it. You can lay down with it, just bloop, bloop, bloop. You can blend this way, you can blend that way, and I found that I used this brush exclusively, just this brush for everything. When I bought that, by the way, I also got this because I thought with my hoodedness, like imagine this portion of the finger is the hood. I imagined that I could kind of work on the crease, the so-called crease, and blend out the hood at the same time. So these are the two brushes I got from MAC when I first started getting back into makeup. And after months of just doing the 217, I thought, you know, maybe I should up my game a little bit. And I had seen several of the Canadian gals that I follow talk about Smith brushes. Smith are Canadian, and I watched Samantha Ravindal and Jamie Page and Alana Davison, and they were using these a lot. So I thought maybe I should get these. I went online, took a look, and I really like this shape. See how this fits? Boom, 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 boom. Fantastic for just kind of blending out that crease area. And then I got a smaller one that appears to be rounded, but after you wash it, I do a little aloe gel to shape. It looks a teeny bit like this one. And also lay down and blending out smaller areas. And these two and this Chikuhodo, which doesn't look like this online, but there is a flattish area right here. Again, it just works really well for the transition shade. Those were the three brushes I used every single day for months. And there's nothing wrong with them. I will say, when I got these, I was shocked because they looked like they were used. They looked like they had been washed and used. I'm like, that's weird. They're not dense. And they're not particularly soft, although they are goat. But if you're a beginner, they're fantastic. And they still are fantastic, even if you're not a beginner, because it's very hard to go too hard with these, if that makes sense. I don't see people talking about Smiths. I saw Alicia Kinky Sweat actually say they were rough. They didn't feel good on the lids. But I think they're very, very handy if you are, you know, not as experienced. But eventually I thought I need to up my game again, so I got the Wayne Goss brushes. Now these kind of surprised me more than anything because Wayne said these are made for hooded lids. Now this one is, I think, the 1918. It's very similar to the 217, so it works in the same function. This is like a big, not huge, but a bigger blending brush, and we will address that again because there are some others coming up. This would be a detailed brush, except for it splays a little bit. If it were the same as the ferrule, the same width as the ferrule at the tip, I'd be happy. It is after I wash it and shape it with aloe, but generally it will be more splayy like this. It's dense, and it's okay, but it's not 100% right for what I need being so deeply hooded. And I should mention, because it's important, you don't have to be hooded to enjoy these brushes, and you don't have to have the issues that I have to find them useful. But if you're deeply hooded, and if you are very crepey, these brushes I think will really, really help you. Well, that I'm getting to, the brushes I'm getting to. All right, then there's this pinched ferrule, round ferrule. I think these are squirrel, very soft. This is kind of like this one, right? Kind of the same idea, except for this is actually cut to be shaped more fuller, where I don't think this one was. So kind of a lay down brush, and then maybe a little blending like that. Very soft. But the thing is, I found that I did not turn to these, and I don't know why. And this is actually cut like a traditional blush brush. It's like the mini version of this, in a way. In a way. And, you know, he said you could use it like that. Here's one of the problems about the videos I see for brush sets, is people say, you can use it for this, you can use it for that, you can use it for the other thing, and my head is like, what? What? It's what? And I just start to think, look, no brush is good for everything. If you're saying it's good for everything, it's not good for anything. And you're just trying to sell me your brushes, and that's fine. That's your business. It's your business to sell your stuff. But as someone who's buying, as someone who's looking for solutions, it's not very helpful when someone says, you can use this brush for many things. Because I'm trying to learn, you know what I mean? And that doesn't help me. Giving me a lot of choices about what I can do with a brush doesn't help at all. It's too much information and my head wants to explode and I shut down. I short out. Like How. That's what happens. Like How in, if you don't know How, 2001, Space Odyssey. All right. Then Sonia G was the brush set everybody was talking about, the brushes. So I bought two. Why did I buy these two? I do not know. I assume that I watched other people talking about these brushes and maybe, yeah, that's probably what happened. So this is probably Michelle Wong and maybe Alicia at Kinky Sweat. But I honestly don't know what to do with them, I gotta tell you. I imagine maybe they said these were good for, you know, Natasha Denona's many different formulations, or maybe the Pat McGrath, maybe something like that. I don't know, you guys. But for me, I'm kind of like, what do I do with this? And what do I do with this? I don't know. This appears to be goat. It's very dense. It's very soft. This appears to be, I think it's probably dyed goat. I have no idea what to do with them. And then someone told me I must get the Sky set. It will change my life. So I did. Now this and this look pretty much the same. This is thicker. I don't know really why it matters. If you have a bigger lid or you want to cover more real estate, but I don't know that there's a reason for both brushes, honestly. Two blenders, and we'll talk about those in a minute. I'm guessing this is inner corner highlight. I don't like this under the eye. I don't know. Again, kind of pinch ferrule, much bigger, again, much longer. I guess if you're going to lay down something all over, that this would be a good thing to do, just because it's big. Again, we come to the blending brush. Boy, it's so dry, you guys, my throat is dying. And these are about the same, but I believe, I don't know what these bristles are, if they're dyed goat or if they're a squirrel. So kind of the same. For some reason, I enjoy this one better. It's a little stiffer. And this is a mini version. And I have to say, I kind of like this. When you look at these two together, they seem pretty similar. Again, two different types of bristles, but this is stiffer. And I kind of enjoy using this one more. Once I got this set, I went out of my way to use these. I'd actually pull them out and put them down here so I would use them because I spent a lot of money on them. But they just didn't feel like a natural fit for me, and I didn't know what my fit was. And then I bought these other brushes. Instead of buying a set, I just looked at the videos of two makeup artists who work a lot, and they work on a lot of people, and I've seen many of their videos, and I get a sense for how they work, and some of these were their favorite brushes, and that's how I got here. Not all of them, but kind of. Before we get into those, one other thing I want to mention. These blender brushes, which are kind of workhorses, there's a place for them, but the place is not detail. It's maybe a final blend, or if you're doing a one and done color all over the place, because, you know, when you're hooded, the one thing you need is to be precise. And these brushes don't give you a small precision. It's more like a sweeping move, like what I did. But what I wanted to bring up is, once you get into brushes and you realize what brushes work for you, it's not a bad idea if you have the ability to get them in different kinds of bristles. So you might get it in a goat, in a dyed goat, or a squirrel. I would definitely recommend a squirrel, and maybe even a synthetic if you use a lot of creams, because the right shape, when you find it, it's worth having in different formats. So let's talk about the brushes I just got. So I got brushes on Hakuhodo, and I got brushes on Beautylish. Let's talk about the Hakuhodo. These are dirty. Don't let them worry you. One of the things that Hindash spoke about was the MAC 239, and I've seen him use it so many times, and I was like, what is that brush? He uses it in a way that I will probably not be able to, where he will do a liner, and then he'll pull it up, and he'll blend, and he'll diffuse, and it's like a workhorse. It's like an extension of his hand in a way. And I thought, I need to have that brush. I covet this brush, even though I probably don't have a use for it. And he did mention this one, this Hakuhodo, as being similar. I feel certain he did. I decided go ahead and get this one. Then I saw this one, which is slanted, and I thought that would be good for me for doing liners. And I believe this is Goat. And then this brush, which I believe that I have seen Samantha Ravindal use over and over again, and she always says, I don't know what this brush is because I can't read the number, it came off. Well, it turns out the number is not on here, and I don't know why. But this brush, if you have smaller eyes, I just can't imagine how much fun you have. I mean, I use it here. I finally have an inner corner highlight. I could definitely do some blending at the lash line with this, and even underneath, but it's not soft enough for me for underneath. But I love the idea of this brush, and that's what I got at Hakuhodo. Then we have my Kitco. This is a brush that he spoke about. It is the 114, and this I think is another one that's close to the MAC 239. It's a lay down brush, also my Kitco. I probably shouldn't have gotten this because I actually do have lay down brushes that I really don't use. Here's one. This is a Hakuhodo, and you can see the Hakuhodo is slightly larger, and that's probably why I decided to go ahead and get this one, because it's a little bit smaller, so it's kind of a detail brush. But this one is kind of the detail brush of my dreams. So let's compare to what I have. See how this gets more, goes out more like a V, it splays more. It's not as dense as this one, where these are packed in such a way that I imagine the bristles are quite long down here, which makes them more stiff here as opposed to these. It's so hard to explain. When I touch them, I'm like, well, the density seems the same. Maybe it's the shape. This shape is more a little bit like a bullet, and it has not splayed. Maybe it will after I wash it, but I find it ideal for the outer third. So I can very carefully lay down where I want it to be, and then clean it, wipe it, and then I can fade it by going in teeny little circles. Same thing up here. If I have a hard line right up here, I don't want to use one of the big blending brushes like Yay, because it'll make the color go higher, and I don't want it to go necessarily higher. I just want to get rid of that line. This is what you do. Even if you wipe this color off with a finger, you still have a sharp line. But if you take something like this brush, very small, very detailed, and just take your time with it, you can fade that hard line without bringing it up too high. And I really, really enjoy that. This, I think, is a key detail brush for someone like me. Yes. And then I got two really, really special brushes. This is the Ray Morris brush that both Lisa and Hindash spoke about. And it is synthetic. And when I looked online, it said crystallized blah, 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 blah. I don't know what that means. It's intended to feel like gray squirrel. And it kind of does, but not really. This is gray squirrel, and it is softer than this. But I saw Lisa use this for years, and I can see a couple of things you can do depending on your eye shape. I can see you can lay down, and I did lay down. I can see that you can pick up just here, which I did today, and just put some pink right here, and then I blended it through. So you can get big sweeping moves and detail moves with a brush like this. It's the most expensive brush out of the brushes that I got. Look how, I'm just going to go back and forth so you can see how it moves if I'm pressing hard. And yet, I think it has the ability to work detail just as well. So it's both detail and general. General buffing out, general lay down, and detail work as well. The shape is a little genius. It's like a candlestick, but very interesting. Round ferrule. I'm just going to turn so you can see how unique the shape is. I like this. But the brush that surprised me the most, nobody recommended, I decided to pick it up, is this Chikuhodo. And this I use the most often. I've probably have had these for 2 weeks now, and I'm just so surprised at how useful this is. It's so soft. It's softer than the Morris it is. It's great for windshield wiping. It's great for the swirly bits, although there's a little pull with this. I like this one better for the swirly bits, but if you're still applying and just working that initial application in, then this is great. So it's great for both application and for final blend. Also, one of my favorite final blend brushes is this Hakuhodo. And you can see the Hakuhodo is bigger, but they're pretty similar, but they're just this much difference in the size makes a huge difference in what you do with it. This is like an all over to me. All over final blend when you don't want the colors to look individual. So basically I'm changing my eye look, and you just kind of do that. And compare it to this. You can just see, I hope you can see, there's a difference with how these end. And this one kind of V's out, and this one doesn't, because it tapers at the end, but it doesn't taper too much, and certainly not as much as the Morris. I deeply love this brush. I deeply, deeply love it. It's, I don't know, I know this is weird. It's the one I look forward to the most. Now this is another Chikuhodo. It is what, I guess what you would call a pencil brush, but it's actually a useful pencil brush to me because it's not as hard as most pencil brushes. So if you've been here for a while, you probably know that I don't like to put color under my eyes because I feel that it looks too hard. But the truth is, I also never had a great tool for doing it. So we go back to this Wayne Goss. This is way too big to put color under your eye. If you don't have crepiness and trough and puffiness, if you're perfectly taut under here, it is a look to bring your under eye color down further. I enjoy that look on other people, not so much on me. With this, you can put on the side like so, or here on the more at the tip, and go back and forth and back and forth. It feels like nothing. In fact, it feels like a little massage. It feels so good under the eye, and that is changing my game for putting color under my eye. But I also use it for liner as well. It's a different kind of approach than this one, which is quite specific, and you could go in with cream products with this as well. In fact, you could go in with a pencil. So let's go in with this Pat McGrath. And for some reason, if you wanted to go in with a pencil, like if you're a makeup artist, but if you're a makeup artist, why are you watching me? And instead of putting on that liner and then smudging it out, pick it up this way and you get a beautiful smudged application right off the bat, and a little bit more control than you would just putting on the liner and then smudging it out. Also, if you're a makeup artist, you know that's a more sanitary application. All right, you guys, I think that is it on my new brushes. I'm really, really thrilled. They have changed my game. I would say most primarily this changed my game. This changed my game. And this changed my game. And, you know, for inner corner highlight, I mean, you know what I mean? It was not that I don't like these. I think this is probably redundant. But I do see a place for all of these, and I do use this one every day, where I don't use these every day, but I'm super, super happy that I have them. And I hope that is it. I hope it was helpful to you. I tried to present it in a way that made sense to me, showing you my brush journey and showing you how I use things and why I use them that way, rather than you can use this brush for everything, because I just don't think there's too many brushes you can use for everything. And while you could use, yes, a 217 or something similar to a 217 for a lot, if you want to up your game or if you have a difficult canvas like me. And my friends, that is it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you come back again. Until we meet again, be safe and smart, and I'm wishing you good health.